We're getting all kinds of schizo posting going on at the moment about this video. It is the new little baby they have. I think the UFO believer scene is a little bit depraved of good footage, right? They got garbage little silvery balloons. Nothing can be proven. You know, it's always the same. They didn't have a good believable video for a while, even all the way going back to Jeremy Corbell's jellyfish UFO, which ultimately, in my opinion, was also debunked. So it all kind of falls apart. So whenever they get something that is somewhat credible, they jump on it like a fucking hyena and overanalyze it. You know, you can also overanalyze something. And then you get all kinds of funny little anecdotes that come from these people who think it's a good idea to spend way too much of their 15 brain cells on this kind of stuff. And I've put together a few of these schizo posts. I call them that. Other people may call them something else. Other people may call them to be absolutely credible and great theories. In fact, since these posts that I'm going to show you now have popped up on probably YouTube as well, but I see them on Twitter, I've gotten comments under my video that repeat the claims that I made in this video. So let me quickly see if I can find the original video. This is already a somewhat enhanced version, okay?
Make impact right there.
So I'm going to mute that guy, sorry. But you can see the footage just because some of you may have not seen this. It is showing an alleged object here, like a tic-tac-shaped, circular, spherical object, whatever you want to call it, right? It looks a bit elliptical. The object in the middle, they allegedly don't know what it is. At least that's what we find out. It is very important to mention, by the way, that this footage was received anonymously by Eric Burlison. I think he's a congressman. He put this footage forward. He said it was given to me anonymously in a dead drop. So that means, you know, some people think it's a physical drop in an envelope, the old classic mythicism thing. You find a brown unlabeled envelope in front of your door. Or I think a dead drop could also absolutely be someone, you know, I don't know, leaving a USB stick or sending it even in like an anonymous upload thing somewhere, like here, download this thing, anonymous email from like a trash email. I think that could also be considered a dead drop, whatever his definition is. But he got this footage and you can see what seems to be a missile, right? There are various theories, but I'm just going to keep saying it's a missile hitting that alleged object, which is supposed to be a UFO or something paranormal. And it seems to spawn some debris here, right? You see like little pieces of it coming out of it, falling off of it. Now, I would say the commonly most believed theory on this footage at the moment is that it is a giant circular balloon, military-grade balloon, kind of like the spy balloon. We remember a Chinese spy balloon. I showed it in my video. So it's a big balloon, and keep in mind, like a balloon like this is not like a fairground balloon. It's not a thin rubbery material. I have no idea what material they use, but you see there's a mount underneath. It's a very custom-built unit. You know what I mean? Like there might even be like a thin plastic structure inside that maintain the integrity of the balloon. We don't know. We really have no idea. And then underneath the balloon, they mount something that is a bit reminiscent of a satellite. But it is basically a piece of machinery, right? That measures, takes photos, whatever the fuck you need it to do. This is a tweet that someone sent regarding the video. And they say, look, it's amazing how identical these balloons look. Like the latest UAP drop being shot with the Hellfire simulate, right? Look at this. Basically making the point saying, this looks nothing like that balloon we just saw because this pops like a fairground balloon. And it just disintegrates and becomes a few little pieces that then fall to the ground. While the footage we just saw seems to show a bigger object that when hit maintains some of its integrity, right? And starts to have these pieces of debris flying around. Now you have to understand what we see here is a heavily enhanced version of the original footage, but it doesn't immediately disintegrate like the balloons we just saw. So I replied to this person as well, and I said like, it's amazing how people believe that military-grade balloons are made from the same material as party balloons. You know, it makes no sense. Why do you think that balloon would pop in the same way? It makes no sense. Like I said earlier, if you look at the image of this Chinese spy balloon, it's not unthinkable that there is a structure inside that maintains integrity of this balloon. Because I showed this in my video as well, this example of a bunch of jets chasing a balloon, shooting it over 1,000 rounds before they could actually take it down. You could also imagine, because this is military stuff, right, that the balloon itself has like some kind of structural material woven into it. These are materials that we don't get to see too often You know what I mean? As regular human beings. Ashton says it's plasma orbs. Is that what he says? I love this because this kind of goes into the schizo posting direction that I'm going to uncover for you guys now. Let's listen to what this guy has to say without further ado. And like, I try to not interrupt. God, it's so hard to not interrupt. All right, you know how it is. It's very, very tough when people make these claims that are so nonsensical. But let's give it a listen. This is only 11 seconds. The tweet reads, Yemen UAP. 3 pieces of debris, identical IR signatures, okay, so they must be identical, appear to emerge from the object in succession. Okay, so they're like spawning 1, 2, 3. That's what this person implies. That is inconsistent with the kinetic strike, ripping debris of an object. It is almost like they were inside the UAP and then emerged one by one. Okay, so he, she, whatever the fuck that is, implies that the UAP spawned these 3 things. It's like it gets hit by the Hellfire Missile. It's like, uh-oh, ejecting emergency pods. And then they eject the emergency pods. I guess that's what they're implying here, right? Completely ignoring that, it, to me at least, it is so obvious that when the missile, Hellfire or not, hits the object, it bursts. There's a burst moment. There's a moment where gas from the balloon just bursts out. And the balloon moves. It's like, poof, it moves. It doesn't burst into pieces like we just saw it with these rubber balloons, but it moves. And there's a clear moment of energy being released from the balloon, right? And then it just changes shape and drifts off to the side. There it is. You can clearly see within one frame, baff, it bursts, right? Very clearly. And then these pieces come out. And these are obviously not debris. They are not debris. They are little UAP, baby UAP. Maybe the big one was pregnant and the missile just did a C-section. That's what we are witnessing here. The wonder of birth, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely stunning. Okay. So I was like, okay, sure. I think I commented something like, I hope you get the help you need. And then moved on with my life. But then further posts came up. Okay. Further posts come up where people go into way more detail. And people give commentary and they'd start to defend this. As I said, I think it has to do with people being very depraved of somewhat credible UFO footage. People really want to believe, and there's nothing out there. So when something like that lands on their desk, they need to go wild over it. So here we have Michael Bradbury saying, new professional image analysis exposes another hidden layer in the UFO missile footage. What appears here has not been seen before. Hashtag click the thing. Smash like, I'm verified on Twitter, I need the clicks.
Different format, I pulled out just a little bit to show the Hellfire making contact with the U.S.
Dude, okay, first of all, oh my God. I know I said I'm not going to interrupt, but I will interrupt. I will interrupt because this pisses me off so much. We have seen the original footage. It looks like ass, dude. It's not looking good at all. What you see here is a heavily enhanced, manipulated version of this footage. The fact that you can see what supposedly is the missile over here as this physical, almost spherical tic-tac shaped object or something is because some AI trash has added information into it. What you see here is already not an accurate representation of the original footage. Jack Huffington says, my guess is smaller balloons inside the larger balloons flew out when it was hit. What, you mean like a pinata or something? Do you think it was a pinata thing? Maybe they were doing a military test and they're like, Steve, you gotta calibrate the missiles. We gotta hit this target. Look, we got a balloon target. So Steve's like, oh shit, man, they're putting me on the test and all that on my birthday. That sucks, but I'm gonna do my best. He's spinning the knobs, right? He's controlling the missile. They shoot it. Boom, it hits the bullets. And 3 smaller balloons come out and everyone's like, hey, happy birthday. Yeah, we didn't forget. Well done. Just for you, we did this. How much is a Hellfire Missile? Like $1 million or something? Probably not that much, but it's expensive. So that maybe the whole thing, maybe Jack Huffington is not what he implied, I don't think. But maybe Jack Huffington is right. And the whole thing was just like a birthday thing. And we like have 3 balloons pop out of his smaller one. But let's, or a bigger one, I mean. Let's look at this. Here's Mr. I don't know what his name is, sorry, who made this. But he's making his point. Let him make his point, Monkey. Please let him make his point.
Here we go. Different format. I pulled out just a little bit to show the Hellfire making contact with the UAP. This is a much different format. And we're going to zoom in a little bit closer, take a couple of looks at the Hellfire making impact. It does indeed impact what appears to be the back half of this unknown object flying off the coast of Yemen. Right there it makes impact. You can see it knocks it off course. And as you're going to see, somehow...
Dude, he's just like, he's got 15 different completely changed and enhanced versions of the footage. There's nothing left of it, you know. He's like, here's like a heat map signature version I created. You can't, it's just not how it works. I mean, you have to enhance it. That's fair, of course. But look how he switches between these versions. I find this very funny.
Impact, you can see it knocks it off course. And as you're going to see, somehow or another, right there following the impact, these three objects appear in the sky following the primary object right there.
Damn, bro.
So the primary target turned into not only one, but 4 targets now. There's 1, 2, 3, now 4. It survived the strike. And the gentleman that testified before Congress said, nothing that we have should have survived that strike. And it turned into 4, 3 small.
I'm sorry. I have to interrupt. Oh, it's too painful. It's too painful because he's like, yeah, it kept going, right? That's what he said.
Should have survived that strike. And
it survived the strike. It's like, no, we don't know that. We had a little bit footage after this footage that shows like a zoomed out shot. We don't know that is actually afterwards. That could have been before, it could have been edited. We just don't know. This is an assumption that it survived it. That after being hit like this and spawning these 3 new objects, it continued flying. There is no credible, tangible evidence for that, in my opinion.
It turned into 4, 3 smaller ones, and then the main primary one continued on. This one here turned out pretty good. You can see that these things are the same shape and same size.
Dude, holy fuck. Honestly, sometimes I do these things and I don't even want to do a video about stuff like what you see here right now because I'm thinking like, this is so obvious. I don't need to explain this to you. This is like as if you go into a nursery and you think, do I need to explain to a toddler how to peel a banana? Probably not, right? He's seen it before, he'll pick it up, like they'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Like they'll be able at some point when they reach a certain age to peel a banana. I don't need to explain this. This is the same feeling I have here, but let's do it anyway. So he comes in with this footage here and so this is a super wildly enhanced footage. I said this already. The lines that you see here around this object, what glows, what seems to be glowing, and what he also implies is an indicator that these are the same shaped objects, right? These white lines around these objects are caused by the sharpener. They are not actually part of the object because it tries to artificially sharpen lines, so it creates points of contrast. It creates like a white line next to it or a black line on the other side so that the line in the middle feels more popped. You know, it's like an optical illusion almost. And then this guy or someone else applied some kind of enhancement filter over it that then made this sharpener filter glow. So everything you see here is not part of the object. Anyway, Mick West got involved in the whole thing because it got a little bit too ridiculous that everyone is like, it actually spawns 3 objects. So Mick West had something to say and he's making kind of the same point I'm making, but he's making it more eloquently as we are used to when it comes to Mick West. And he says, with the Yemen UFO, while it might seem impossible that 3 bits of debris from a missile strike would look the same, that's the point. That's actually what you get with sharpening and other artifacts on small hot fragments. Here's an example filmed with an MQ-9 drone. So he's referencing this thing, people losing their mind, not knowing how it works. This is the same camera on the same drone filming stuff, filming strong contrast. This looks like an impact crater or something on the ground. Other pieces, maybe pieces of debris or impact crater there as well. You see the lights top and bottom of it. That doesn't mean that there is a piece of debris on top and bottom or something, or that they are the same object. They are not the same object. They just look the same and there are holes probably that are similarly in size, right? And it might be as simple as like, this one is 1.5 meters, this is 1 meter 10. You know, like there's space. I don't know the scale of what we're looking at here, but you see how these three objects also look almost identical, but they're not. The thing that makes them look identical is this weird sharpening filter that adds this layer to it, top and bottom. Oh, okay, so that's the same clip, so you can kind of see, you can see what he's talking about there on the bottom right? You see, this is actually good footage. Yeah, it is good footage, because what you can see is they're adjusting the camera. I assume this is unfiltered footage. So look how they're trying to get a better image. They're zooming in. Look, do you see this? They're obviously, someone is obviously spinning the parameters on the camera, trying to get a better image, a better contrast with more detail to be visible. And that impacts little details like the lights around, or you know, these illusions of lights around these spots, and then makes them look almost identical. Keep an eye on it so you see it. There it is. Okay, so they're adjusting. It amps up the little white lines around it. There was another little image there. Let me see if I can find that. Hold on. There. Oh, hold on. It's just 1 or 2 frames. So here you see it extremely strong. He zoomed out, or the person operating the camera. And now you can see how hard this, I have to assume, built-in algorithm is trying to tickle out the details. Look how these massive white lines it puts on top of every black dot. White line top, white line bottom, right? That's not because it's there. That's just the filter. That's the sharpening. And what we saw earlier in the guy being like, look, they all look the same and one is glowing, is because someone applied like a filter that make one of these artificial lines that the AI or the algorithm creates, made it glow. So nothing was glowing, you know. Once you focus on an object, it already has a certain degree of a sharpening filter that applies to artificially tickle out a little bit more detail out. It's not AI, right? It's a big difference to AI. At this point, it's not enhanced. So you see a little bit of that darkness around here, that darkness around there. Because if that wouldn't be there, especially against the background there, you would see nothing. Do you see what I mean? The background is white or light. The object is white. You wouldn't see it. So probably, I assume, the camera adds that kind of filter to it to bring it out even more. So, but you can see how little detail is in this original footage. It looks like ass, dude. I said it already. It just, in terms of the detail it provides, it does not look good. It's not terrible, right? But you can see the little artificial black lines that sit around this object that try to make it pop from the background. These are artificial lines created by a sharpener. But this guy's like, look at how these objects all look the same. It's like, no. If this is an effect that's been created by this sharpener algorithm, then it will apply the same thing to every single object. And in fact, they don't look really the same. They look somewhat similar, but not exactly the same. Like this object over here is like slightly wider here, slightly lower there. This one over here on the left seems bigger, not just because it glows, but you'll see it looks bigger. And the reason why you have 2 light spots down here and then a light spot up here and one up here is because the same sharpening algorithm applies to the same object. Okay, so it's not the same shape. It's just enhanced in the same way. So even you would have 3 pieces here flying that, let's assume it is debris of an engine or like some satellite bullshit. 3 pieces that are roughly the same size, one a bit bigger, one a bit smaller, you know. They would look identical in size almost because of this enhancement filter. But this guy's like, no. Because they have the same lines around them and they glow in the filter I've applied, that means paranormal sphere spawn or something.
We should have survived that strike, and it turned into 4, 3 smaller ones, and then the main primary one continued on. This one here turned out pretty good. You can see that these things are the same shape and same size. Look at that. And this one here,
he's just stating it as a fact. He's like, it's just the same and the same size. He might as well also say, I do not understand how any camera technology works. I have no idea what this is. I haven't looked into any research, but they're the same size and the same shape.
It started to glow for whatever reason, almost as if it had some sort of an energy field around it.
Oh my God.
Maybe it was some sort of a propulsion system.
Yeah.
This one here started glowing, and then that one there started glowing. The smaller things you see are reflections off the top of the water.
Jack Covington says, target practice. We have to question how this event was filmed. Target my viewing being hit by something. I agree. That's my theory as well. I think this was a military target practice. I think they mounted something under a probably balloon. What is the most efficient way to tackle an object hanging under a balloon? Do you hit the balloon? Do you hit the object? It seems like here they hit a bit of both. I don't know how they did it, right? They hit the balloon, but also I guess a Hellfire Missile causes such a commotion that even if it hits the satellite underneath, the debris will somewhat make the balloon deflate, I'm guessing. But yeah, so yeah, let's finish this clip.
Those things definitely had density. Let me go back to that one right there. That one right there turned out pretty good. You can see those things.
I love how he says, that one right there turned out pretty good, because it's not the original footage anymore. He manipulated it so heavily that it turned into something completely different, bro.
Things clearly.
Wow. Look, man, I think I can even see an alien head up here. In those 4 pixels up here, dude. I think I can see. Can you see the gray head? Damn. They spawned the spheres. Bro, it's unbelievable.
Are the same shape. Those aren't random pieces of debris, guys.
Shocking.
So whatever that missile impacted, it didn't seem to affect it hardly at all.
All right. So yeah, there you go. Oh, it's so stupid. It's so fucking stupid, man. But to be honest with you, when it comes to the actual explosion or the actual debris, and obviously this guy denies that it's debris, I totally think it is debris. The way it moves, the way it scatters, to me, as I see it, it's perfectly in line with how something like that would look. Like the way it scatters, the way it flies apart. This is how it looks when a technical object that's mounted under a balloon is hit. Look up the GINSU version of the Hellfire. I think that's what it is. Right. Oh, yeah, okay. So I see what you're saying. So it has these wings, right? Which could act like, almost like a knife that cuts an inflatable. I don't know, they probably unfold. Are they up all the time? The whole flight? Are they up? 1 meter long. That's quite significant. So with something like this, you could kind of fly almost in between the Chinese, like not the Chinese spy balloon, but in between the satellite and the balloon. You fly in between, boom, the satellite underneath crashes, gets like destroyed into several parts, and the balloon up gets cut and deflates. That would make sense. And that would also somewhat explain why it looks in the video like the object, the missile, the Hellfire missile, flies somewhat through the object, right? It seems to not be derailed too much from hitting the object. See that? It a little bit, right? It derails a little bit and seems to fly a bit of a curve back here. But obviously it did hit a small target just now, so it makes sense that it makes a little curvature or something. But look at it. I mean, if you look at the footage here, it is so obvious that it's just debris from this object. But this is what I mean by schizoposting. These people, they go so deep into it and they apply another filter. They share that footage. They pull it out. They enhance it even more, tickle out even more contrast, highlight certain areas. And by the end of it, you've just created your own little fantasy world. And the idea that these are 3 intentionally spawned orbs also makes only somewhat sense if you look at it in slow motion. If you look at it in the real speed as we see it here, clearly the impact, you can see the impact spawns these orbs, and it's not some kind of emergency pod sphere deflector or whatever coming from that orb. But let's look at it one more time. There it is. And then some people claim that these orbs go into a formation.
Then right after impact, it spawns the additional small UAPs and they go into a tight triangle formation.
That is literally what they say. Let me playback speed to much slower. Look at this. This is like the crazy tight triangle formation, bro. That this object is like instantly it's going into absolutely tight triangle formation there. Dude, these people want to believe so hard. They want to believe so hard. It is so funny to me. There is also, now that we had a few days, a report from a pilot that I want to share with you guys. This is a post from Red Panda Koala. And he says, sorry, the new Hellfire Missile UAP video is obviously a balloon, says retired Air Force pilot Chris Leto. Not the actor, okay? On the new video of UFO ally splitting a missile. So this whole splitting a missile thing is, am I misunderstanding something here? Am I the idiot, or are they misinterpreting the footage? Because the thing that gets split into several pieces is not the missile, it is the target, right? People speculate it's a balloon, but the missile doesn't get split into anything. It is the target. But yet people, and Anna Paulina Luna as well, said that, you know, in the hearing, can you think of anything that can split a missile like this? Maybe, I don't know. But this links all back to a tweet from Chris Leto. Jared Leto is the actor, not Chris, right? Jared Leto. This seems to be military pilot as well. If that's the guy, you know, he's flying a jet. So not just any commercial airplane pilot. And he says, sorry, the new Hellfire Missile UAP video is obviously a balloon. We should be talking about the Jackson Tic Tac or Borland sightings or the USSR UFO investigations. Instead, we're talking about balloons. Again, cool footage, very impressive. But you can see the big piece somewhat flying in a formation with these smaller pieces, right? The movement of the pieces, the debris, flying kind of along with the bigger comet here, it is very much similar to what we see with the other debris. It's just flying forward. It just keeps flying forward because the debris as well has the momentum that the balloon has, if that makes sense. So yeah, look, it's just another piece of reference. The footage is more than debunked. Okay, so there you have it. I'll give it a ginormous freaking debunked.